Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to another tournament live stream here today, coming once again from the Blue Tit Bash, which is our latest ongoing tournament featuring the European expansion. And this is coming from Group J of the group stages of the Blue Tit Bash. And this is actually the last game in Group J to be played here between BilboBobbins and Bushy. So if we do take a look here at the standings, you'll see, like I said, lots to play for both players. So BilboBobbins, they need a win to go through. So that is, obviously the goal for them is to win and get through. Bushy, on the other hand, already through, but a win will put them top. And obviously with that first place finish in the group, you get that first round bye, which I think is what everyone is after. So like I said, high stakes, lots to play for here for both players. But yeah, I think without further ado, we can look to get this one started. So Bushy is going to be going first. We have already done the flip. So Bushy, if you could go ahead and send the invite over, we'll get this one started. And yeah, best of luck, of course, to both players in this high stakes match. All right, here we go. Here we go. So that is what you want to see. And Bushy is looking very excited. Very, very excited at that starting hand. Not at all surprised. So, and a fish crow, and a white stork, and a woodpecker in the tray. Wow. Lots of tricky decisions. Obviously, you like it when you see a tray like that with multiple options, but almost too many options is a bad thing because you get some good card, but you know your opponent's also going to get one. So killdeer is kind of the obvious keep here, but I think it's tricky. I think it's going to be tricky knowing what to take from the other two. Obviously, kind of killdeer and fish crow is such a good combination. Being able to get the cards and the food and the eggs all in that single action is so strong. But they are going to have to think a little bit about, what you do with the rest of this first round. I think that is always the case. Obviously, the house rules that we have, this killdeer can't go down until the second round. So you are going to have to kind of fill your first round doing something. And obviously, you don't want to be building up a wetlands that you're not going to use from round 2 onwards once you do have the killdeer. So yeah, you keep that for food perhaps, and then it's tricky from these birds in the tray. I would not feel comfortable leaving that white stork for my opponent, so I would almost be tempted to take the white stork and then whichever of the other two food generating birds is left. The danger is that if you take the fish crow or the woodpecker and leave your opponent the white stork, that is just going to be so good for them. So yeah, it's tricky. You almost have to, like I say, kind of base your decisions based on what's going to be good or bad for your opponent, which, yeah, is never fun. But I think it would be tricky for Bushy to kind of be productive in this first round if they didn't go for something like the white stork. But I suppose you could take the fish crow, and then that one of the other two is going to get left for you. So you grab whichever is left of the two, and then just try and get both of them down in this first round and really set yourself up in a way that, like I say, you're kind of being productive, but also, giving yourself the necessary food to get that killdeer down, because you want to be playing that as soon as possible as you go into the second round. So, yeah, it looks like we've got a Bushy fan in the chat, which is good to see. So yeah, like I said in the intro, kind of you're probably more relaxed here if you're Bushy. You're already through, come what may. Obviously, the win will put them top and get them that first round bye, which is kind of what they're going to be going for. But I think certainly more pressure is going to be on Bilbo here. You need that win to go through, and if you don't, then you're out. So lots of high stakes for sure for both players. Tricky on the bonus card as well. I think probably Wetland Scientist especially if you are going to go for the Storm Petrel. Maybe they're looking at that just for the end of round, but it is quite an expensive bird to try and play. Particularly the 2 fish, quite difficult to get hold of. So I think Falconer's probably the one I would have gone for, just a bit more flexible. You get 2 points of time, which is, all of these bonus cards that give you 2 points for every one bird that you play that meets it. Very, very strong bonus cards. So, I'll be interested to see how this Petrel works out. Maybe they're just going to grab the worm and get that down and try and get some card generation in this first round and see what they get there. But here we go for BilboBobbins. Obviously not quite as strong a start, but the Wilson Snipe is still pretty good, and certainly, against the Killdeer, I think throwing a few extra cards around is not necessarily a bad thing. Now, the Tree Creeper is a really interesting forest bird. I think we saw it come up in the game yesterday, or maybe it was a previous stream, but it's such a strong bird if you can use it in the right way. Obviously, you need lots of eggs, and if you can get lots of eggs and playing extra birds when you gain food, really, really powerful. But it can be quite tricky to work with. Like I say, just getting that egg generation is a tricky one. So yeah, they'll obviously be looking at that tray, and it's almost harder when you're going second tier because you can't plan. You know that at least 2 of those birds are going to be left, unless your opponent has a Brant or something. That'd be a real killer at this point. But I think you can plan on getting at least one of those birds. But obviously, you're not going to know what's going to get left there. It's so difficult to like I say, to plan around it. Maybe you expect the fish crow to get left there, and you kind of plan your food around that, and then your opponent takes it, and you're stuck trying to grab one of the other birds, which is just a little bit slow. But I think probably here, if I'm Bilbo, I'm looking at this Wilson Snipe and probably the White Stock as well, and kind of trying to run that for a bit. And if you can grab one of those food generating birds on top of those, all the better. I like the White Stork. I think it is a good way of getting cards, but it's a little bit limiting in that you can't grab birds from the tray. Obviously, you do reset it, but they've gone for the 5 food start, which is bold. I'm really surprised that the Wilson Snipe at least was not taken. I think they're gambling on being able to get at least 2 of these tray birds, which I think is a gamble, but it might pay off. Just obviously depends on what Bushy does here. So yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see what Bushy does go with here. All right, so I think they're looking at Bilbo with the 5 food and thinking, man, that must have been a terrible starting hand, because you don't often see the old 5 food start. Certainly in tournament games, it takes a pretty desperate situation to do that. So, not something you see every day. But here we go. They are going to go for cards. Like I say, I'm expecting the fish crow here, and that is indeed what they go for. So, what comes up is said, ooh, probably not enough for you to grab the Crowlbird here if you are BilboBobbins. But yeah, I think they have to grab the White Stork here, surely. And that, I think, is actually pretty good if you're Bushy, because then you get the other food generating bird as well, and you can just start to get things going a little bit more quickly in this starting hand. Okay, they are going for cards, understandably, and it is the White Stork. That's a pretty good one. Yeah, I've had a few games with the White Stork. Like I say, just really such a strong bird, big point value, and obviously the power as well, really, really strong. It just helps generate some cards. Obviously the power resetting the tray and drawing a new one. It's a big gamble because it depends entirely on what you do get in that tray to be able to draw. But hey, I mean, if a good bird comes up, you're able to get that card while also laying eggs. Really, really nice. But Yeah, the 5 food, and then you take the crow. I think the crow is the better option here for bushy. You know, the crow pairs so well with the killdeer. Obviously, it's kind of tricky for Bilbo to work with because you need to lay eggs on another bird, so wouldn't necessarily pay off for them there. But that's an interesting pickup for bushy, going for the black-headed gull. So yeah, I'm not really sure how much I can see them using their wetlands. I think they've probably got enough here to work with that that they don't really need to activate their wetlands too many times, and that has allowed Bilbo to grab this woodpecker, which is so good. You know, they can get both these birds down now straight away, start laying eggs, and you know, one of the problems as well with the white stock is that it only has 2 egg spaces, so you know, you lay eggs once and you're out. So you kind of need other birds to be able to play pretty quickly. And obviously this woodpecker, I would say it's probably the second strongest forest bird now, obviously behind the wood duck, but I would put it ahead of the redstart, just that single food cost, and it has the same power as the redstart, so really, really good bird. And yeah, I'm surprised that Bushy's left that. I think they might regret that later, when they do struggle a little bit for food generation with just this fish crow. But yeah, they have gone for the gull, so you know, maybe they'll use that to get a bit of food. You probably want to be getting this fish crow down right. You need it for the end of round. Just help with a bit of food as well. So that's probably what I'm expecting. But yeah, Bilbo, unsurprisingly, white stock down straight away, and they're just going to be laying eggs and seeing what they can get, hoping for something nice from that reset tray. So yeah, strong start I think for both players here. Obviously they'll both have good card generation, both have good food generation, building up a good grasslands. And you know, when you look at these end of round goals as well, 3 of them, well, 2 of them are to do with eggs. There's another to do with birds in the grasslands, and then the other one's birds in hand. So I think they're both going to be very competitive for all of these. You know, obviously the grassland ones, they're both building up a nice grassland engine. That's going to help them for the end of round goals. But certainly the white stork versus the killdeer in terms of card generation. Obviously the killdeer is going to be getting 2 every time. So, you know, maybe you'd expect Bushy to be a bit more competitive there, but it all depends on what they draw and what they might look to play. So Bushy straight away with the annoying gull activation. So I think this might be one of the most frustrating birds to play against. You know, not just in the European expansion, but probably in all of Wingspan, because you you have certain kind of food that you're expecting to use, and then your opponent nicks it from you, which is very frustrating. But yeah, that was an interesting move there. We saw Bushy kind of circling and highlighting that Imperial Eagle that got revealed in the tray. And that kind of highlights this weakness in a way of the white stock, in that, you know, if you want to grab that, you have to pick it up from your wetlands, and by using the white stock power, you're kind of resetting everything here, which is yeah, you know, quite frustrating. I think that Imperial Eagle is such a strong bird. You know, basically, you think of it as 10 points for no food. You're always going to have cards left, especially when players are running these kind of engines where you're naturally getting cards while also taking other actions. Yeah, I think the eagle is just such a strong bird. So obviously we won't see it. It's now gone. The tray's reset, and I like that sapsucker pickup. I think that's pretty straightforward. Unfortunately, it's revealed that common chaffinch, which again, with these kind of card-heavy generation that the players are going for, I think particularly for Bushy, you know, if they do look to get this petrol down, which I would imagine they will do if they've kept it, I think it would be odd to keep that from the starting hand and then not play it when you could have maybe kept an extra food. But it's just such a good option to have at the end of the game. You know, I think with killdeer setups, you can often end up with lots of cards at the end, and I think to be able to play a chaffinch and then just lay eggs and tuck all the cards, you could be looking at 8 or 9 points a turn, which is just huge at the end of the game. So yeah, no surprises, I think, to see them grab that, and they can get a bit of food as well, which is always nice. So yeah, this black-headed gull is kind of already coming in very strongly for them with the cards and the food. So I think it's working out okay. I think it's always interesting, like I said at the start, what you do with this first round when you have a killdeer, because you kind of have to work out, okay, I can't play this until the second round. I've got to do something with my first round, whether it's set up my forest and get some food, or whether it's, you know, try and generate some cards and get some nice birds to go with this setup. I think the falcon that they did pick up on a previous turn was smart. Obviously helps with the bonus card they've got for a couple of extra points. Pretty reliable point scoring as well through the brown power, and just helps build out this grasslands that they're going to look to build. So I really like that. I think that's a good keep for them. And yeah, for Bilbo, pretty straightforward as well for them. I think you get this woodpecker down. Unfortunately, the annoying gull stole the worm, so they couldn't play the sapsucker. And with no worms in the feeder, they might have to overpay a bit to get this sapsucker down. But I think that's still worthwhile. You know, once you get that down, you're looking at 4 food a turn, and 4 food from that forest that can play any bird in the game pretty much. So yeah, it almost doesn't matter what you find with your white stork. You can look to get that down pretty quickly. So yeah, for bushy, I like this. The crow, I think that's good timing to get that down now. Obviously, with this end of round goal in mind, they will be looking to tie that. So both players with 2 platform nest spaces. I think if bushy goes for eggs twice here, you can make sure there's 2 eggs on that fish crow, and at the same time you're getting some food to look to get this killdeer, and maybe this peregrine falcon as well, just to help with the point generation. So yeah, I think all in all, it's been a pretty solid first round for bushy with that killdeer start. I would still question the petrel keep. I think maybe they were originally planning to play that, and then once the gull appeared in the tray, they kind of grabbed that and looked to go for that as the wetland bird instead. But yeah, you know, every bird that you keep at the start that you then don't play, you could have kept a food instead, which maybe would have helped, you know, get some of these birds down a little bit quicker. But you know, that said, it's still an extra card, and maybe that'll come into play with this chaffinch later, or even that next end of round. So you know, it's not a critical error. It's just one of those little things where maybe you've changed your mind, or like I say, something else comes up in the tray that you go for instead. So we shall see how that works out. But yeah, we, as expected, I think, have this this sapsucker going down maybe for a little bit of extra food than it should have cost. But I think the priority is still to get that down. The 4 food every turn is going to be so nice, I think, there for bushy. And yeah, they can still lay eggs on this next turn. Make sure they tie the end of round goal, which is probably their next priority. And at the same time, they're going to hopefully get a nice card from this white stock when they reset the tray. So yeah, all in all, I think for both players, a pretty solid start. You know, they both got this start of a good grasslands engine going, and both players got some good food generation at the same time. So it's all just going to be about what else they can add to this. Probably not the kind of cards that Bilbo was going to be looking for there. I think really they kind of need that second. They need that second grassland bird, right? They need to start building this out. Maybe the quail, but that kind of makes your egg problem even worse rather than helping it out. So not ideal, to say the least. But yeah, we got some more bushy fans in the chat. Janita showed up. The bush train is indeed here, all aboard. So like I said at the start, it's a high stake game for both players. I think, you know, bushy maybe a little bit less so, but obviously getting that win will put them top of the group and give them that first round bye, which is what we all want in the group stage. So lots to play for, and yeah, we do get a tie in the first end of round. And man, what a tray that is! 9 points, 8 points, 9 points. All the big point birds coming out to play, but they are going to disappear straight away with this white stork. And ooh, again, not amazing pickups. Probably the warbler is the one you go for. You know, that at least gives you an option when you go for food. You know, maybe there is a card in the tray that you want. You can obviously use the tucking power to grab that instead of forcing yourself to reset with the stork. You know, I think for Bilbo, if they can get something like you know, a barn swallow or a purple martin, something in the grasslands that can get tucking, that is so strong with the white stork, because again, it just gives you that ability to pick up tray birds, which the white stork doesn't allow you to do. So that's the extra flexibility coming in there. But here we go for bushy, killed it straight away, no messing about. Obviously, that was in the starting hand, so Bilbo is not going to know about that, and probably is not going to be too enthusiastic to see it go down here to start the second round. But yeah, that is going to be very, very nice for bushy. Obviously, huge resource generation in this grasslands. 2 cards along with a food from the fish crow, and obviously you'll get a spare egg as well. So for them, it's all going to be about looking for this point generation. So whether that's through playing big point birds, they've already got a couple in their hand. Obviously, that falcon is going to help the falconer bonus as well. Or you're looking for some nice tucking birds. Obviously, the chaffinch is a pretty good one, but maybe something like a junco or a bush tit. That's probably the next best thing to help with the point generation. So yeah, obviously that's kind of what you're looking for, and you give yourself every chance of finding those with a killdeer. You know, looking at 2 cards a turn, you can just keep digging and digging and digging and see what you find. And yeah, all those extra cards, they'll come in handy for this end of round goal, but also potentially turn into points anyway with that chaffinch. So yeah, I think for Bilbo, it's about getting this warbler down. And yeah, they're going to have so much food. So again, for them, they'll be looking for big point birds to try and really maximize on that. But bushy, they're going for the chaffinch. Now, this is interesting. I think it's right to look to get this down at some point. I would certainly be keeping it in my hand for that reason. I think it's probably a bit early to be playing it. I think you don't want to be tucking cards for right now, because you need as many cards as possible to win this end of round goal. So yeah, I certainly would be keeping it. Like I said, you can play it later, and you're probably going to have enough turns. Even if you played it at the start of round 4, you know, I've seen games like that. You play that as your 5th grassland bird, or even your 4th grassland bird at the start of that final round. You've still got enough turns and enough cards and enough birds in the grasslands to be tucking behind them all. So yeah, I think I agree with Loris. I probably would have prioritised the falcon first. You know, that's pretty likely to score you points, and you're not damaging your chances for the end of round. So obviously, you know, you can skip that chaffinch if you want, but that is potentially missed points that you could have got if you'd already got that falcon down. So we will see how much bushy chooses to use this chaffinch. Obviously, at the moment, they could skip it, which it does look like they're going to be doing. And in any case, if they are fully activating that, they're not generating enough cards. So yeah, you get 2 a turn, and the potential to tuck 3 a turn. So not enough to kind of maximise on that. But yeah, just go from the deck, I think, here. I wonder if at some point they might have to start thinking about some kind of forest bird, and I am certainly looking at that card now. I think that's a pretty good option. So the fish crow, obviously very, very nice, but it does only get you 1 food at a time, so a little bit slow. You know, if you want to be playing these bigger point birds that cost a lot of food, it can take maybe 2 or 3 turns to actually get the food to play those, and maybe you miss your opportunity. You know, some of these birds, particularly like the falcon, you want to get them down really quickly so that you're able to maximise the point generation you can get through the activations of them. So yeah, that turtle dove as well in the tray I think is a pretty good pickup. I'd probably be looking at that if I'm bushy. But for Bilbo, again, they just need some more grassland birds. In fact, they're looking at the turtle dove. So think it's one of those where you get to choose. So there's quite a few of these new bonus card giving birds in the expansion where you get one bonus card and then you get something else. So yeah, I think this is one of those where you get to choose either a food or a card or an egg when you play that. So yeah, it's not a bad option. Does if they do look to put that in the grasslands, obviously just extends out a little bit and can get them an extra card as well. So I wouldn't be opposed to putting this in the wetlands though. Obviously it helps their ecologists, you're going to need wetland birds at some point, and just gives you that option of, okay, maybe there's a couple of tray birds I like, I can now draw 2 of them in a single turn, rather than either just the one through the warbler or reset it completely through the white stalk. So yeah, just gives you a few more options, but maybe it's going to go in the grasslands anyway, and obviously with an eye on that next end of round call as well, maybe they're trying to think about how they could try and tie that. But yeah, no surprises for Bushy again. Just try and dig through the deck, and that is what you are looking for. There's the house finch. Bushy is very excited indeed to see that house finch. So yes, that's what you're looking for. Very, very good option indeed. So yeah, like I said, for Bushy, it's just about how to get all these birds down. So you've got the falcon, you've got the house finch, you've got the cardinal, potentially this dove as well, that you're going to be looking to play them all. And you don't really have the food generation. So I wonder if maybe they go for a seed here and try and get this dove down. I think that's potentially what they're looking at. Really, I think you need some kind of option in the forest to just help generate some extra food. So probably the morning dove, and then maybe you try and get this cardinal down as well. That's obviously going to get you a cherry when you activate. That's going to look to get this house finch down. But this is a really tricky point in the game when you're trying to work out what order to do things in and what to prioritize, because sometimes if you kind of are a little bit slow in getting the birds you want down, it can make it quite difficult, and you kind of don't feel like you're maximizing again the amount of turns you're getting to use these birds. But yeah, for Bushy, really it's just going to be about working out what the priority is. What birds do I want to get down first to make sure I'm kind of maximizing on the point. So I think probably the falcon. I think I'd probably look to play the falcon, lay eggs, and then get the cherry so that you can play this cardinal, and that's just going to help you then get the house finch down quickly as well, and obviously give you loads of egg space. So again, if you're going to be hammering this grasslands, obviously at the moment it's only generating 1 egg every turn. Once you get an extra forest or extra grassland bird, I should say, then you're getting 2 eggs. So it's not huge, but if you're kind of hammering this and obviously getting lots of cards and getting lots of tuck cards as well through the house finch, and then maybe this chaffinch as well, you want to give yourself as many egg spaces as possible. So that's where birds like the house finch and the cardinal, they really come into their own just with all that egg space. So very, very nice. But yeah, we did see Bilbo. They did go for the turtle dove in the grass, and so I did think that was maybe what would happen. Oh, that's a good pickup on the bonus card. Viticulturalist already maxed out in round 2. Absolutely perfect. So yeah, Rodentologist wasn't great from the turtle dove. Obviously not scored any, but there's still 2 rounds to go. So every chance of getting 2 or even 4 points from that. But yeah, Viticulturist for 7. That is a very, very good pickup from the woodpecker. So I think Bilbo can be pretty happy with that, and feeling strong with that 7 points. But yes, for Bushy, this is where it's going to come down to what food do they get, what do they prioritize. Looks like they're not so keen on the morning dove anymore, and I'm probably inclined to agree with that. I can't see them going for food that much in the rest of the game, and when you are playing a 0-point bird, you want to play this early enough that you can really make most of the Baron power. So yeah, it does kind of, as you go into round 3, feels a little bit late to be making the most of that. So House Wren, I wonder if they're going to look to do a double play in the forest. Again, lots of egg spaces, which is nice, and just pushes out the food generation to obviously 2 from the feeder, and then another cherry through the cardinal. So I don't mind that. I think that could work. But yeah, they grabbed the flycatcher as well. I think from the deck. So this is where it gets difficult because you've only got one grassland space left, right? And I think ideally to be looking at playing both the flycatcher and the house finch, because obviously the food generation has been a bit of a problem. Only one a turn. If you can get that flycatcher down, you're getting 2 a turn. I don't think you really need to worry about throwing some extra food at your opponent when they got a forest like this. So I would almost be inclined to prioritize the flycatcher over the house finch here. Again, kind of when you get into that round 3, you think to yourself, how many turns am I going to get to activate this house finch? How many tucks will I get? If it's less than 5, you know, you already get 8 points alone from the flycatcher's point value, so you kind of need to be outscoring that already on the tucks from the house finch, and then that doesn't even take into account all those extra worms you'd be getting and potentially saving yourself turns going to the bird feeder. So yeah, I think Bushy probably is feeling pretty confident about the amount of points he'll get from that. So like I said, I don't mind the house finch. I think it does help, obviously, with the card cycle and the points as well. But I think probably the flycatcher is what I would have looked to go for there. So yeah, here we go into round 3. Pretty comfortable end of round there for Bushy. Obviously, they did manage to get a couple of tucks with the chaffinch and still comfortably come out ahead just with that kill disc. So yeah, this is kind of the point of the game where it's so straightforward. You just you lay eggs, you tuck some cards, you see what you get, you hope for some nice birds to add to what you've got, and you score lots of points. So obviously this house finch, that's a guaranteed point every turn. Falcon, you're looking at 75% chance for a point. And yeah, obviously with the eggs as well that you're generating, all these extra cards probably going to get turned into tucks later in the game as well. So I think they can feel pretty safe in just kind of hammering this grasslands, trying to get some food, and maybe they do look to get some forest birds down. But again, it is getting to that point where it's kind of later in the game. You think, how many times am I actually going to activate the forest? I think you can probably just use the grasslands and look for big point birds. You know, maybe the cardinal at this point you don't look to play. You kind of try and find something that's going to get lots of points, or maybe a bonus card, and try and focus getting that down instead. So yeah, certainly lots of options for Bushy. With this house finch as well, they do get that extra card cycle. They can just go through the deck that a little bit quicker and hopefully find something good to get down. So I think that's a sensible pickup there for Bilbo. I like the Bustard. Again, very similar to the Turtle Dove. Gets you a bonus card and then gives you the option of whether you want to grab a card or lay an egg. And I think they'll probably go for the card, because eggs are not really the problem. I think being able to just get themselves this extra card is very, very tricky. But yes, Loris, that is something I was thinking about. So the hobby which Bushy picked up is one of these new birds where you can avoid the food cost and instead you play it on top of something else. And if you do a double play, you can do that immediately. So you can play the house wren and then use the hobby's power to just play it on top of that house wren. So it is a very interesting move, and you know, I think it works. I think it's one of those where if you are low on food, as Bushy is only generating 1 a turn, you can essentially think of it as kind of, you know, you're paying 1 food and you're getting 5 points, because obviously you pay the food for the house wren and then the hobby goes on the house wren and gets the tuck. So it's not a bad option. Potentially if you get a bonus card that's going to work with it as well. I can't exactly remember what bonus card. Oh, it's Falconer, isn't it? So it's perfect. Yeah, there you go. The hobby, it does work for the Falconer, so that's another 2 points. So I would certainly be looking to play that at some point. You know, you can do it that turn, or obviously you can do it on a later turn if you maybe use the house wren to do a double play with something else. You can play the hobby on it later. But here we go with the Bustard. Prairie Manager, not a great pickup. Obviously the Bustard does count for that, so you are just looking for 1 more. That Maltoni's Warbler might not be a bad shout. if it does help that. Obviously, the wetlands is not really there. But I don't mind the loon here. I don't mind the loon. Kind of the comes down to this point again of not being able to generate cards in the wetlands. It's kind of hurting them at this point, I think, Bilbo. And obviously the ecologist as well. They need some wetland birds. So 6 points, 2 food. They got plenty of food. I think that's going to be a good option because, yeah, with all this food, you need big point birds, and at the moment they just don't really have the access to that. So that's really what they're going to be looking for. But yeah, wood duck for bushy. Again, probably a little bit too late for that one. So I don't think you could play that. I think certainly the turkey. If you are going to go something in the forest, you go turkey, big points. I think you can prioritise that. So yeah, I did see on the previous turn, I think it was, they grabbed the ruff and the great egret. So the ruff, obviously a really, really nice bird. I think at this point for them, probably not going to work. A little bit too late. So obviously the ruff, you get 3 tucks at the end of each round. But I think with this chaffinch, Bushy's probably going to end the game with no cards in hand. They're all going to get tucked. So I would be surprised if they had any left over to use that ruff's power. But some more good pickups there. So they've now got the egret and I think that was the roseate spoonbill. So that's a really nice double play if they could potentially look to get that down. But yeah, 6 food is very, very expensive. So I wouldn't blame them for maybe just prioritising getting some of these other birds down. I think certainly this turkey, if you look at that last end of round goal with the eggs in the ground nests, that's going to be very, very nice and make them very competitive for that one. So I think that is probably the priority for me if I'm bushy. But for Bilbo, I like this common loon. I think that's a good play. Obviously, both players will benefit at the moment. They only have 1 wetland bird each, so every card that you give to Bushy at this point, you've got to think of it as a point, because that chaffinch is going to do some work in that final round and just get a huge number of tucks. And yeah, any card that you give to them is basically guaranteed to get tucked. So I think probably though, if you are Bilbo, you still use that power because you're just desperate for cards, right? You only get 1 a turn through the white stalk. If you discard an egg and go for cards, you get 3. So I think you kind of have to go for that. But yeah, all the food they want and no cards. And you look at Bushy and they have this opposite problem of all these cards and just no food. So I think probably this house wren and wild turkey is what they are looking at doing. That is probably what I would look at doing as well. And then you just hammer this grasslands, right? I think it doesn't matter that you're kind of not getting a whole lot of points because you're obviously discarding some eggs. I think all these extra cards you're going to have, they're guaranteed points at the end. So it does look like this cardinal's going down. So I did wonder early in the game, I thought maybe that was going to go down. Again, I think it is probably on the late side for this cardinal. You think about it, how many turns realistically are they going to gain food? So they've got 7 turns left. I think if you're going to play some of these big point birds, you maybe spend 2 turns playing birds. That leaves you 5 turns left. Are you going to spend 2 turns gaining food and then 3 turns laying eggs? Possibly. I think it's tricky. I think they need to think about the food in the bird feeders. Obviously not quite necessarily what they're looking for. They're looking for fish, I think, and seeds if they want to get some of these wetland birds down, and obviously this wild turkey as well for big points. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly what food they can look to grab from this feeder, but if they do obviously get any food they don't want, they can discard that for extra eggs, so it is not all bad. But yeah, interesting interesting trait here for Bilbo. The Raven is kind of the obvious one that stands out to you, but I don't think they need it with this food generation. Cards is kind of the problem for them at the moment. I think maybe they're going to look at the Dick Sissel just for this Prairie Manager. Although the Raven, of course, does meet their Rodentologist bonus card. If you're desperate, you play it in the wetlands and help the Ecologist and just play it for the points. That's yeah, a tricky one. I think you can feel safe leaving the Dick Sissel and the Raven for your opponent because they've not got space in the grass, and so it's not a case of sort of denying. It's more about thinking what's best for you. So, yeah, I think probably Dick Sissel is where I'd go. Then you can feel safe in drawing cards with this loon, and even if you don't draw the cards you want, they get turned into points with the Dick Sissel. So, I think that's pretty good. Certainly, I think that's what I'd be looking to go for. But, yeah, 6 Grasslands activations and Egret Spoonbill. That does work timing-wise. I think they do have 7 turns left, so that could work. I would just question again, though. Why would you play the Cardinal if you're not going to activate the Forest? You scored basically 3 points just on that turn, and it cost you 3 food. And if you think about it, each of those food cost you an egg to gain, so you basically got 0 points for that turn. I think you only do that if you are going to go heavy on some Forest activations, but I'm just not sure that's going to have the right, enough generation of resources, because you're only getting 3, whereas this Grasslands obviously gets you so many more than that. But yeah, Bilbo in the end does go for the Raven. Like I say, I probably would have gone for the Dick Sissel. They will be a bit annoyed that the Barnswell has appeared as late as it has done, but I think you could still go and grab those and get them down. But yeah, it does have egg space, but again, they're not generating loads of eggs a turn at the moment. For Bushy, it's only 2 eggs a turn. Obviously, you get 4, and then 2 are getting discarded for the Killdeer and the Fish Crow. So I think they probably could have done enough to try and get some of these other birds down. And are they going to look to play the Hobby? That's basically going to be 6 points for them, I think, for no food cost. So that is something that they'll have to think and kind of bear in mind. But yeah, the turkey is getting ditched, so I imagine they are trying to line up this double play in the wetlands, and I think it's a good one. When you can do these double plays for big points and get a bonus card as well, it's always very, very nice to be able to do that and obviously score lots of points. They're scoring plenty of points while running this Grasslands anyway, so yeah, you kind of score points while giving yourself the necessary resources to score even more points later, which is a very nice option to have in place. But yeah, we see Bilbo going for food again. So they are absolutely drowning in food right now, and now they pick up the Dick Sissel. So I wonder if that was planned. They did spend a little bit of time thinking about that. I will give them the benefit of the doubt and say that it was planned, and if so, that is a very smart move, because obviously if they grabbed the Dick Sissel and then gone for food, they wouldn't have been able to tuck it. So they probably felt like, my opponent's never going to take that. They've not got the space, doesn't work with the setup. So yeah, I think probably now if you're Bilbo, you kind of just try and you get the Dick Sissel down, then maybe you go for cards once and then just try and lay eggs, and hopefully you can cycle through with the White Stork, maybe find something nice to play that meets Rodentologist and goes in the wetlands to meet the Ecologist as well. That's probably the best case scenario, but even so, I think that's a pretty solid end game. You get the 4 eggs plus the tuck and the other egg from the Dick Sissel for 6 points. If you're scoring 6 points at the end of the game in that final round, I think that's always a good threshold to be able to meet. So I think it's going to be difficult to compete with the kind of engine that Bushy's got set up. Obviously, at the end of the game, they can kind of choose to start using this Chaffinch a bit more heavily. I think they've already been getting 2 a turn, and so you get 4 eggs plus a tuck from the Housefinch plus 2 from the Chaffinch, and then you lose 2 points through the egg discarding power. You're looking at again 5 or 6 points. Plus they're getting all the resources to do this huge wetland double play, which is potentially going to score big points for them. So yeah, maybe Bilbo's not going to gamble on the cards and is just going to see what they can get. Ooh, but the red knot is very, very nice. That's perfect, actually. That is such a perfect pickup for them. They've already got the food to play that. You can force that down. Helps the Ecologist, gives you another bonus card, but also lets you draw a card. And so, when obviously if you play a card here, you don't leave yourself anything to tuck behind the Dick Sissel. But but the red knot is going to give you something to discard. So I like that. I think that's pretty good. I would question maybe some of the egg laying. It does look like they have filled up completely on the dick thistle, which is yeah, a shame, because obviously you miss out on the eggs when you do use that tucking power. So I think they probably had enough egg space to be a little bit more careful and make sure they spread them out. Maybe it was a bit of a rush for this end of round goal, but yeah, they might miss a few points there if they're not able to get the eggs when tucking as well. But if they can get something nice through the red knot, obviously that's going to be very strong anyway. But yeah, not too much to say about Bushy again. I think really for them it is just about running this grasslands, getting all that food they need. Keep using this killdeer. Obviously, I think in most cases you'd shut the killdeer off at this point because you don't need extra cards. But they can think about this killdeer as getting points, because you discard an egg for 1 point and then you draw 2 cards, and those are going to be worth 2 points through the chaffinch. So it's obviously worth going for that and just keeping on doing all these tucks. But yeah, they're just going to keep getting this food. I think they've got the egg space necessary to be able to run this engine for a few more times and then do this double play, which is nice. So bonus card time for Bilbo. That's not what you're looking for, Citizen Scientist. That would be really nice for Bushy to pick up. I think they could potentially, yeah, they'd be getting at least 3 points on that, which is very, very good. So yeah, not the pickup you want here if you are Bilbo, which is a shame. But that red knot is still 8 points on its own, 6 points after eggs, and then getting another 2 through the ecologist. So I think that's still a worthwhile play, and it scored lots of points. So yeah, I think for Bilbo, again, pretty straightforward for them the last few turns. Just lay eggs, get tucks through the dick thistle, draw a replacement through the white stalk so that you can tuck the next turn. If they do start to miss on eggs on the dick thistle, which it looks like they will do for the last 2 turns, it's still a 5-point engine. And again, 5 points, it's okay. I think you can be happy with that. And considering that, where their grasslands was looking sort of mid to late round 2, I don't think they really could foresee getting, even 5 points from that grassland. So it has worked out okay in the end for them. But yeah, Bushy, again, for them, pretty straightforward. Just keep running this grasslands, get the food they need, and get this double play here. So not too much to speculate about, other than who is going to win this game. So I will get a poll up for the viewers on who do you think will win this game. Do you think it's going to be Bilbo, or do you think it is going to be Bushy? I know we've got a few Bushy fans in the chat, so we'll probably see a bit of a landslide here, just in terms of the support numbers. But I think Bilbo's managed this fairly well as we've got into this endgame. There have been a few mistakes here and there. I think filling up on that dick thistle, just missed out on a few extra points. Like I say, I probably would have gambled maybe one more time from the deck just to see what I could get. They did the white stalk and got quite fortunate with the red knot, but I think you could have maybe gone for cards that one extra time and just allowed you to run that Dixis a little bit more. But I think they are considering whether the bitten is the play here, and I think it might be. I think obviously it's going to be 6 points after the eggs, plus 2 for the rodentologist, plus 2 for the ecologist. So that's 10. Now, if you run your grasslands twice, that's only 5 each time. So I think if they grab another bird, go for food once, you get a point for the tuck on the warbler, and then you get 10 for playing the bitten. So that's 11. And that's more than the 10 that you'd get for just laying eggs twice. So I think this is probably what Bilbo is working out. And yeah, they don't take the bitten, so we will see if they do go for food on that next turn to try and get this bitten down next turn. And well, maybe I spoke too soon. This is a very even poll at the moment. So what is it, 56 to 44? We have got some Bilbo fans as well coming up. So the Bush train is maybe going to get derailed as the Bilbo fan group comes out in this final round. Who knows? Keep the votes coming in. I want to see what you guys think the result is going to be. Obviously, with just a couple of turns left, we will find out very soon. But it is always enjoyable to speculate at some point in this final round. So, yeah, obviously pick up the goal there. It's always a big flex if you can tuck one of the OP birds. So I think, did we see the Raven get tucked or discarded earlier? I think we might have seen both Ravens actually, and obviously this Franklin's Gull as well is now going to get tucked either behind the Housefinch or the Chaffinch. So yeah, you always do that whenever you get the chance, I think. So here we go. Indeed, we do have Bilbo going for this Bittern. So, okay. For a second, I thought they were going to play the Great Tip, but no, this is good. This is good. I like to see this. Just a case of, like I say, doing the number crunching. You know, if I do option A, it gets me this many points. If I do option B, it gets me this many points. Which one is worth more? I think there'll be a good few players who won't have spotted that. I think a lot of people just kind of see the grasslands and think, right, I need to hammer this grasslands, lay lots of eggs, get the tuck cards, and not really think about anything else. But you know, if you pay attention to what's in the tray, if you look at your bonus cards and think about what synergizes well with those, then you can definitely score lots of points there. So final turn here, or at least I should say final turn, gaining food through the grasslands for Bushy. And, you know, I think for Bilbo, they'll probably be looking at this and thinking they've got a big play coming. I don't think they will have known about the Egret or the Stork. I think they did both come from the deck. But, you know, you look at your opponent, they've been laying eggs for like 6 turns. They've got 6 food, and it's all like fish and rodents. And you're thinking, oh my God, what kind of big double play are they going to get down? You know, you can kind of see that coming. So it might come down to this last bonus card, of course. But even without that, it's just the raw bird points that are going to be scored from this double play at the end. It's just so big and so very nice for Bushy to get down. So I must admit I wasn't paying too much attention on that end of round. I have a feeling that Bushy might have had more space than Bilbo, although obviously Bilbo did get that red knot down, which did have more ground spaces. So I think Bilbo is going to win the final end of round. I'll be interested to see by how much, because obviously there are some free spaces here on the ground nest. So I would hope that Bushy hasn't missed any points there by not laying eggs in the right spaces. But here we go on the bonus card. Wow, that is exactly what you look for. And that is a very excited Bushy. Yeah, 6 points Omnivore Expert. That's kind of the cherry on top to grab that at the end. Okay, no, Bilbo had 8 spaces, which is more than enough to take the win for that end of round. So here we go into the scores as they count up. And I think Bushy's going to have this 1-1. I think just the bonus cards obviously very nice, but Bilbo's scored a lot as well. So they will drag it back, I have a feeling, with the eggs and the tuck cards. Obviously that Chaffinch kind of went really to work later in that game. And here we go, all these tuck cards counting up. That is a huge score, 116 in the end. Bushy takes it. But 99 for Bilbo is also a very strong score, so no shame there. So congratulations, obviously, to Bushy, who not only advances with that win, but goes top. And unfortunately, commiserations to Bilbo. Needed a win with that one, and sadly could not get it in the end. But a very good game, nonetheless. And yeah, I will get our players back in the room after that very entertaining game. So we will start with our victor today, which is Bushy. So Bushy, congratulations first of all. Obviously with that win, you do go top of the group and get the first round bye. So yeah, how are you feeling after that game? If you can hear me. maybe not. Oh, the bushy fan train is going to be so disappointed in the chat that they're not going to be able to hear from Bushy. So I might try get it a bit. I will see if Bilbo is there. Hopefully, Bilbo, you can hear me. First of all, excellent. Yeah, first of all, just commiserations on the loss, but 99 is still a good score and tricky against that engine from Bushy. So yeah, just Bilbo, how did you kind of see that game from your perspective?
Their first turn, and then trying to then manipulate from there. But I think I put in a decent game there. It's just that Bushy's engine was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So competing against that was very, very difficult.
Yeah. I think there were definitely, like you say, some kind of tricky decisions. I think whenever you see the kind of 5 food, 0 cards at the start, it's
hello. Can you hear me?
It's always a bit tricky. But yes, Bushy.
I can't hear anything at the moment.
Okay. Bushy can't hear us. I'll just put Bushy on mute for the moment, so I can keep talking to you, Bilbo. But yeah, like I say, it was a tricky start. The tray was so interesting. There was a lot of kind of, okay, who's going to take what? And obviously, with you going second, you don't really know what's going to get left for you. But obviously, the white stock very, very strong, and I think you managed to make most of that. But some good plays, I think, in the final round. As soon as that Bitten came up, I was looking at it thinking, right, is there potential here to play that instead of going for the eggs? And obviously, you kind of looked at the bonus cards as well. So that's good to see, to kind of squeeze out that extra point, even if it doesn't necessarily come into play for the final score. But yeah, good game nonetheless. I think you can keep your head held high, especially against a crazy chaffinch tucking engine that Bushy had set up there. All right, well, I think I'm not sure we can quite hear from Bushy. They might be having some technical difficulties, which is a shame. Bushy is indeed bashful. So yeah, maybe we can get their take on it afterwards. But a good game, and certainly I think a good performance from both of our players. So thank you again to both of our players for taking part, and thank you to our viewers who have joined us for this one. We do have a few more streams to come as we try and round out the group stages of the Blue Tit Bash. So do stay tuned, keep your eyes peeled on the Discord server for those. But until then, take care and thank you for watching.